They say no one who enters that jungle ever comes back, but this isn't about them. This is about the one who refused to listen, the one who stepped inside, searching for the truth, and what he found was worse than any nightmare. It was an ordinary evening when Alex, a curious American tourist with a passion for adventure, set foot on the mist-covered trails of the Blackthorn Jungle. His backpack, filled with snacks, water, and his camera gear, seemed to weigh less than the curiosity tugging at his heart. The air felt heavy, thick with an eerie sense of something hidden in the forest's dense shadows. Alex was no stranger to these types of places, jungles that seemed too quiet, too still. But something about Blackthorn felt different, and he wasn't about to turn back. Rumors swirled about the jungle, whispers of an abandoned mansion deep within its heart. The Hollow Manor. Once the home of a powerful family, the mansion had been left to rot for decades, shrouded in stories of those who had ventured in, never to return. The locals warned anyone who asked about it, but tourists, like Alex, were always drawn to the mystery. By the time Alex found himself standing at the jungle's edge, the sun had dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the forest floor. A chill ran down his spine, but the thrill of the unknown kept him moving forward. His flashlight flickered as he made his way deeper into the jungle, the faint rustling of unseen creatures accompanying his every step. The further he went, the more oppressive the atmosphere grew, as if the trees themselves were closing in on him. He finally spotted it, the Hollow Manor, barely visible through the thick trees. Its silhouette loomed like a shadow of forgotten nightmares, with broken windows and vines creeping over its decaying walls. The house was almost completely hidden from sight unless you were within a stone's throw of it. Even then, it was hard to shake the feeling that it didn't belong here, as though it had grown from the jungle itself. A deep sense of foreboding crawled up Alex's spine, but his desire to uncover the truth pushed him forward. As he stepped inside the grand yet decaying foyer, a sense of isolation settled over him. The dust-covered furniture, the broken chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, and the peeling wallpaper all added to the feeling of neglect. Everything about this house screamed danger. He pushed through the heavy wooden door, which creaked as it swung open, and entered the main hallway. There were no sounds, no footsteps, no birds, no wind, just silence that felt as thick as a blanket. His flashlight beam swept across the walls, revealing strange, cryptic symbols etched into the stone. Alex wasn't sure if they were markings of an ancient civilization or something more sinister, but he felt the unease grow within him. The house had a life of its own, and it seemed to be watching him. He couldn't shake the sensation that the very walls were alive, holding secrets they were desperate to keep. Every step Alex took echoed loudly in the emptiness, as though the house was absorbing his every move, feeding off his presence. He found a staircase at the end of the hall and slowly ascended. The air grew colder with each step, and the once faint smell of decay became unbearable. As he reached the second floor, the floorboards creaked underfoot, and the light flickered once more. And then he saw it. Through an open door, the mirror. The mirror was massive, standing tall against the wall. But it wasn't the size of the mirror that froze Alex in his tracks. It was the way it seemed to ripple, as though the reflection was somehow alive. His own image twisted and contorted, distorting until it no longer looked like him at all. His heart began to race, his instincts screaming at him to turn around, to flee. But before he could move, a voice, soft and slow, echoed from behind him. "Leave now, before it's too late." Alex spun around, his flashlight shaking in his hand, but there was no one there, only the oppressive silence of the house, broken by the sound of his own breath. Without thinking, he stepped closer to the mirror, drawn to it by an unseen force. His reflection began to change again, but this time, it wasn't just his image that shifted. The face staring back at him was no longer his own. It was the face of someone, or something else. Pale, hollow eyes, a twisted smile, a face contorted in a grotesque mockery of human features. Suddenly, the room seemed to shift. The walls closed in, the floor began to twist, and the entire house seemed to groan under some ancient pressure. Alex stumbled backward, his heart pounding in his chest, but the door he had entered through slammed shut, trapping him inside. The mirror seemed to pulse, its reflection becoming more vivid, more real. Alex reached out instinctively to touch it, but the moment his fingers brushed the glass, he felt an icy hand close around his wrist. With a shock, he pulled back, but his reflection didn't. The creature in the mirror, the twisted figure, smiled wider, its fingers reaching out toward him. Alex screamed and stumbled away, but the house seemed to stretch, to elongate, and everything around him began to dissolve into a haze of darkness. Then the whispers started. "You're not the first, and you won't be the last." The voice echoed through the air, surrounding him. Alex tried to scream, but no sound escaped his lips. The jungle outside had fallen completely silent, as though even nature itself was holding its breath. The darkness consumed him, and as he looked one final time at the mirror, he saw his own reflection reach out, grabbing hold of him with cold, dead hands. The next morning, the jungle was quiet again. The Hollow Manor stood silent, its decaying walls still holding the secrets of those who had entered and never returned. And if anyone were to pass by that day, they would hear no more whispers, no more footsteps, but deep within the jungle, the house waited for the next curious soul, foolish enough to step inside.